Good evening, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have live call with one of our clients in BBA program, Brand Builders Academy. His name is Mason. He's 22 years old. He is from Netherlands, and he got to $1,000 a day with his business. So I'll be asking him questions. We'll be learning from his experience so far, getting into e-commerce, taking those first steps, getting that initial momentum, getting those initial wins. So very excited to learn from Mason, hear his experience, transitioning from standard path that's established for everyone. It's like you go to the college, get a normal job. He decided to take it a different direction, build his own business at a very young age, 22 years old, and now he's doing $1,000 a day. So very excited to learn from him, get his perspective, also answer the questions. If you guys have any questions for Mason, please drop them in the chat. So people asking if this is live. This is fucking live. This is, what is that? January 16, 2025, 11:02 in Miami, beautiful city of Miami. It's cold as fuck last few days. It's cold like 20 degrees Celsius, which is very, very cold. So not as cold as Ukraine. Ukraine is brutal. But you're very excited to chat with Mason. He's joining us right now. Guys, please drop your questions if you're just starting the business, want to grow the business, want to learn from someone who's been through all of those stages. I think he will share some amazing stuff. For us, like people's like, oh, how to make my first sale or how to make my first $100 online. For us, it's the benchmark, the first kind of like benchmark that we're aiming for with Brand Builders Academy is $1,000 a day. I think it's a good starting point. It just shows you what's possible, because $1,000 a day, it's a good chunk of money. Like if you think about all the restaurants, all the small businesses, $1,000 a day, that's like $30,000 a month, and that's like $360,000 a year. Most small businesses like generate less than that. Like most small businesses don't even generate that. So imagine growing something from zero, from scratch, from your laptop, sitting in your bedroom, and building a business that gets to those numbers. It's very, very impressive. Hey, Rhonda. I'm good. How are you? Super excited to share these insights with Mason. He'll be joining me here in a second, and we'll have a great chat. So for now, please let me know if you can hear me okay. If you can see me okay, just drop one in the chat. Mason, just drop in here. My man, thank you for joining me.
How are we?
Good. How are you?
Oh, yeah, very good. Sorry, I've got to keep it down a little bit. My girlfriend's just asleep in the other room, but yeah, I'm happy to join you here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, my man. Thank you. So, what a mustache! You have a beautiful mustache.
Thank you. It's freshly trimmed.
Good stuff.
It's because I can't grow a beard like you.
Oh man, yeah, it's I have my beard started growing like at the age of like 25 or something. Like wasn't growing before that.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a bit later on. I think my dad's pretty similar, but hopefully my beard will still come then.
My man. So where are you joining from? Are you in Netherlands right now?
No, I'm actually in Perth, Australia.
So, but you are Dutch, right?
Yeah, that's right. So I am Dutch, but I actually live in Perth, and my whole family lives in the Netherlands as well. But yeah, I'm the only one here. So I moved here originally with my whole family, but about 2 years ago they moved back, and I stayed here to finish off my uni.
Oh, you're still in the university?
No, I've just finished. So I finished in July this year. But yeah, so finished off in July. Sort of was already looking. I actually was studying neuroscience, so it's very different to like the marketing and business. But I was quite quickly I sort of knew I wanted to get into business, and I was already thinking of some neuroscience related ideas. And then, yeah, sort of randomly after uni, I joined a small marketing agency of a friend of mine. And I picked up a bit of like running ads and stuff. Like it was just a digital marketing agency, classic SMA. Um, and then, yeah, sort of after I actually stopped working with him, that was when I took all my money and I put it into BBA to continue learning those skills. And it seems like it's paying off at the moment. We're getting there, so I'm very keen to continue seeing how it like further develops.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I don't know if you had if you connected like few weeks ago. I had an interview just like this one with our client. His name is Lan.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys connected. He also
I,
has
I
very
will.
similar background. He's also like
Oh,
marketing a
interesting.
marketing agency. You know, got into e-commerce, running his own stores now, and I think also has some
Mm,
clients for marketing agencies still, but very similar background. And yeah, I
yeah.
think you guys definitely should connect.
Yeah, for sure. So what's that? Lan, you said?
Yeah. I'll introduce you guys on WhatsApp.
Yes, please. Yeah, I'm always looking for more people to connect with. I think that's one of the things the BBA has been so good for is just the help, even in the Facebook, in the WhatsApp group. It's so useful. Whenever I've got a question, I'm in there texting people. Yeah, even people who don't work for the course have got their own inputs as well, which is one of the best parts. So really enjoying
So people here in the chat are saying that you must be smart to study neuroscience.
it. Well, um, I don't know. I did actually. I really enjoyed it personally. That's why I decided to do it. For me, it's I find like if you can understand what goes on in your brain, I feel you can make a positive influence for yourself. Um, and I mean, I back in the day, I had my own struggles. I was actually studying engineering before I went into neuroscience, and like I had some mental struggles myself. But I feel like the neuroscience helps you to sort of work through that. And as you know, all of that stuff like mindset and even self-talk and neuroscience related stuff is very important for business, because at the end of the day, there's one person behind the business that's running it. So yeah, I think it's helped me a lot in like sort of trying to develop into business too.
That's awesome, man. And so, like, okay, so if you were to continue on this path, let's say it was like neuroscience, you would be like a
Mm,
doctor, like a neuroscientist. You'd be like
yeah.
neurosurgeon. Like, who you would become?
Well, so that's the thing. Like the normal pathways that I found were number one is going to study medicine, which requires another 10 or 15 years of studying.
Wow.
Option two is doing research, which also involves spending lots of time in a lab where you're getting like $20 an hour.
Shit.
Not ideal. And then there's the third option, which is like a private clinic. So that's where you're working for a smaller business to do with neuroscience or to do with medicine. That's privately held or whatever. And I had like basically tried all options, and none of them were the ones. So like that's what got me thinking about business. Like, is there another way to like make money, and still have time where I can do what I enjoy doing rather than spending all my time on like a job. Yeah, but yeah, regardless of all of that, yeah, it's just yeah, BBA has been such a key influence as well in that. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, the past. I mean, it's kind of like, I think at the end of the day, it's predicated like what do you want to do with your life, right? As long as like you're
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
clear, like okay, I want to be entrepreneur. Then I mean, yeah,
Mm,
it
yeah.
requires you to make some kind of like tough decisions.
Yeah.
Take some risks, kind of like go into that uncharted territory. Um,
Yeah. For
and
sure.
some people are happy with their jobs, right? But most people are not,
Mm,
right? That's a fucking
yeah.
problem. Like most people are not happy
Yeah.
with what they do for a living.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like, I mean, there's because no hate to like a 9 to 5. Like my dad also had a very traditional 9 to 5 career, and I feel like that was a very good option. But I do think that like times have changed a lot, and like nowadays there's so much like content and information that you can find online. And really, it's more about like how can you find the right information. I think that's probably the more important skill now. And like, how do you weed through all the BS and like get through the right answers? But I think it's a unique opportunity for people to really build up a career like online like this. And like, even when I still talk to friends and family about this whole situation, people still are like a bit like, oh, is that even possible? Or like, are you somehow like, yeah, they don't even really understand how it works until you like really explain. You get me what I'm saying, right?
100%. Yeah, I told one of my friends, like, I remember a few years ago, like, and yeah, I wanted to help him out, and I'm like, he's working, he lives in New York, and he works in he's like conductor on the train, so
Yeah.
he's
Oh,
on the
yeah,
train
yeah,
all day. And I mean, he makes decent money, he has some benefits, some healthcare and stuff like that. But we grew up together, and I wanted to help him. And I'm like, you wanna do some business, I can show you like how to launch your store and like stuff like that. And he's like, what exactly are you doing? Are you are you scamming people? It's like,
yeah.
people don't
Exactly.
understand.
No, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, no, it's like a whole different world. So I think, yeah, I feel like people, and it is becoming much more common. Like even with school being set up now, like we've never had a platform where education like that is so accessible. And I think it's a very, very good opportunity for people if they're unhappy with the situation they're in or that they've somehow landed themselves in, that really you can now follow a process. And if you just stick to it and you keep doing the actions, jumping through the hoops, like you can actually get some really cool results, like in a much quicker time frame than you might think is possible.
Yeah, we have a comment here. I was making 6 figures monthly, and one of my family members was still searching job for me.
Yeah, exactly. That's messed.
That's crazy,
Yeah.
man. And so, okay, so how was the decision making process for you? Like, was it kind of like, like, I mean, you clearly have evaluated different kind of like passes, right? So if you go
Yeah.
this pass,
Yeah.
okay, you become a doctor, you spend like 10, 15 years, you go like, or you do the research, like kind of like you evaluated all of these different options for yourself. Was that decision like, was it something you kind of like talked about with your family? Or
Mm.
like kind of like you just made that decision, you just like, hey, I'm getting into entrepreneurship, and that's what I want to do.
Yeah. It's an interesting question because I feel like for me, it was definitely a sort of a process. It wasn't like I woke up one morning and like I thought, oh, I'm going to do business or try to become an entrepreneur. I think for me, it started when I first moved out of home. So, like I said, 2 years ago, my family moved back. When I started living by myself, um, and still doing uni full time as well. I had like a side job at like a bar. So if I'm working 3 or 4 times a week, let's say 3 times a week would be sort of the break even point. So if I then suddenly can't work a shift, like now suddenly for that week, I'm like actually in the negatives because of how expensive everything is and all that. Um, so I definitely think that like, yeah, moving out and like sort of being responsible for yourself was like a catalyst for me. It sort of like kicked me into gear, made me realize that I needed to take matters into my own hands. And then I really started looking for like, yeah, sort of practical pathways. And I'm sure Alex Hormozy as well.
Yeah.
He's a massive, massive influence in like my decision to even get into business. I listen to his stuff, like his podcast, and basically every piece of content I listen to every day. So yeah, his ability to describe what business is like and to really sort of like explain it in a way that makes sense, that actually doesn't seem that hard if you can just provide value and build the systems. It's really not that difficult. So yeah, I think that really helped because actually I was always a science student. I never did I didn't even do economics or business in school. So I had no business or economics or whatsoever background. And just from investing in different courses and yeah, watching the right content that then gets you thinking in the right way. That was
Mm.
probably the biggest thing for me. So I would definitely say it's a gradual thing over time. But that catalyst that really got it started was moving out for me.
And has your family supported your decision to go into like entrepreneurship?
Well, my family is very supportive, so I'm very lucky. Um, but I've had many conversations with my father about the use of university nowadays. Like, some people think it's still useful, and it can definitely be in the right pathway. But I also think that nowadays there's infinite amount of other pathways that you can take. That let's just put it this way: if you're going to invest, I don't know how expensive it is over there, but here in Australia, university is incredibly expensive. So you're much better off investing 50K into educational stuff like this online stuff, in my opinion, than necessarily to like a 3-year degree, which then again doesn't really, other than the piece of paper, like it doesn't really make you money necessarily straight away, right? So I still think it's a viable pathway, and it's definitely still an option. But I think it's again that conflict between the traditional sort of view of what a career looks like and what really now is possible. And I mean, kids who are 18 are making like so much money online. Like
Yeah.
how, it's it goes against the old notion of building up that career long term. But yeah, I mean, my goal, because I still really enjoy the neuroscience and I still love it. So actually, what I really want to do is eventually, once you've got a business that's running, once you've got cash flow, I really want to venture into doing my own research, because there's still so much to be understood about the brain, and I still really have that interest. I just didn't want to have to do the research myself. I want to oversee the operation and make other people do the research.
You want to be Andrew Huberman, the next Andrew
Well,
Huberman.
potentially. I mean, he is a professor, so I guess I don't know if I'd want to be a professor, but I definitely think that I want to use. Let's say you do start making money, I want to use that money to then see if we can discover some other stuff that we don't even know about the brain. Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't that be cool? Yeah.
For sure. And I mean, in order to do that, right? I mean, you need money, right? You need to kind of like just eliminate money as a variable. That's kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, I have to do something every single day in order to make money to provide for yourself or
Exactly.
your family. Like you just have to just dedicate few good fucking years to build
Yeah.
that financial foundation for yourself, so that after that, like, you can do whatever you want with your life. You can pursue your passions and do the things that you truly enjoy. But
Yeah.
business is a vehicle to help you achieve that. And I mean, you've seen some of the, like, I mean, the results people are getting, like you said, like
Yeah.
18-year-olds, like you can get financially independent like in few good years, like 3-5 years, if you truly committed to it. Like, it's so possible. You can build a business, you can sell the business, or you can have a business that has an amazing cash flow. And it just like
Absolutely.
such a great vehicle. And you starting at such a young
Yeah.
age too. Like, man, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm. It's still a bit of a dream that I'm even like talking to you right now, to be honest. Because I mean, I signed up. I stopped working at the marketing agency. When was that? Like November or something. Um, I had the month of December. I was really keen to sort of try get that first sale within the first month. And tested first product, and it had busted product, didn't work. So then, you're sort of, and actually I was watching one of your live streams at this time as well, right after that first product failed. And you were talking about just keep testing, don't be emotional about the product. So hopped on to the next product. Then, and by the way, I've been trying to get my first sale, not in e-commerce necessarily, but just in business in general, for a year and a half. And I got that first sale on Christmas, the 25th. And then by the time New Year's came around, I'd done like $1,000. So that was already like insane after 5 days. And then, now I've been working on the systems, building it up more and more. And I had my best day today. I did $830 today. So I'm trying to get to that 1K day, but it's already insane. Like, what's even going on now? Like,
I posted I posted 1K a day, so I kind of like future paced a bit.
Yes, yeah. No, but I'm gonna be there next week. Next week at this time, I'll be there. I'm telling you.
Man,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Yeah.
So, man, it's interesting. Like these options. It's kind of like, what do you think is, because I mean, for you, it was also a big part of that was like self-education, right? And it's like, I mean,
Oh yeah.
Alex Hormozi, like, I mean, there's he's amazing, in terms of content, simplifying business concepts.
Mm.
There's many other, great educators on YouTube, and many people watching those, right? But
Yeah.
like very small percentage of those people that are watching it actually like starting to put effort into it, taking action and stuff like that. Why do you
Yeah.
think that is?
Now that people are taking more action.
Yeah, like for example, with the abundance of content that is available, right? Like in
Yeah.
business education, and a lot of people. I mean, Alex Ramosi, like videos getting like millions of views, right?
Yeah.
And then and still like very small percentage of people like actually taking action or applying those concepts.
Mm.
Why do you think that is? Like with all the abundance of content, like why people are not,
Mm.
kind of like committing to their entrepreneurship journeys?
Mm. Well, I think like I think it's just uncomfortable. Like it's
Mhm.
not a safe path, um, necessarily. I mean, there's that old belief like what 90% of businesses fail, and I think there's a large, and I think one of the reasons why, it is more. I mean, this content's so good because it sort of like simplifies the process a lot more, like you say. But then I do think like as much as it's simple to explain, it's still very hard to like do the work consistently, even when like all these things are happening and like you're just uncertainties everywhere, to be like level headed and like make the right decisions. So I do think that like, well, and the fact that it's uncertain as well, like people, I mean, I see this when I talk to my friends as well. Like whenever I bring this stuff up, it's always like, I'll be like, you don't know if it's going to work. And like, oh, I mean, they see how much time I've put in, and even they think that I'm crazy. Um, but then now that you're finally starting to reap the rewards, so I think it's similar to going to the gym, where like it takes a lot, at least like sort of 6 months or a year of work before you really start to like see what it looks like, and the rewards. Um, so yeah, I think. I mean, I could go into a whole spiel as well about the whole neuroscience with like the scrolling stuff and the dopamine.
Oh man, tell me, tell me,
Um,
tell me, tell me. I mean, you're the source. Tell me. Like, oh, that
well,
is.
yeah. So nowadays, like we can get so much the dopamine, like quick dopamine spike from being on social media, scrolling on TikTok, all these things. There's so much um, instantly gratifying things in our immediate environment, like nowadays in this time, that it's really hard. So dopamine is the neurotransmitter that you need to have in your system to push yourself to put in effort without seeing the reward straight away. So any
Mhm.
goal that's long term, that requires consistent engagement of effort, that always requires a specific level of dopamine in your system. So if my dopamine is crashed and like really low because I'm always scrolling with TikTok and I'm getting that like that hit of dopamine just from being on my phone, then that makes me not want to put in all that effort to try and get that dopamine hit from the delayed gratification. So
Mhm.
essentially what's going on is, just think of it as feeling good. Like if you put in 2-3 months of effort to a goal, then you feel great after. But that same feeling good is the same one that you can get from scrolling for 5 seconds on TikTok.
Huh.
So basically, it's so much easier to get nowadays, that dopamine hit, that people aren't going to put in the effort to achieve it in the long run.
And these
Um,
platforms, I mean, they're aware of this, right? So that's
mm,
literally what their whole kind of like consumption and attention
100%.
and business model is based on.
Yeah. And Huberman talks about this as well. But the way that you can visualize it is it's like a swimming pool, and your dopamine system is that pool, the level of the water. And so whenever you do, so I don't know if you've ever heard of the drug like MDMA, but it
Mhm.
basically 10x's your dopamine level. So the reason why you feel so terrible the sort of 2-3 days after is because you get this massive 10x spike in dopamine that goes really high, and then everything that goes up has to come down. So it crashes even lower below baseline than it went up initially, which is why you get that massive sort of dip at the end. So that wave pool is, or that MDMA, you can imagine, is like a tsunami going in the wave pool, and then all that water goes over the edge, and then the level of the water like decreases over time, like that. So if you're basically, what I'm trying to say is, if you're scrolling like 3 or 4 hours a day, then the chances are that that wave pool is somewhat lower than normal. And if you really wanted to feel motivated to like do work, you need to try get that dopamine level up to the top of the water,
And how
like
do
the
you do
top of
that?
the swimming pool. Well, it would just be like doing less of the immediately gratifying things. So it'd be practicing more things that require delayed gratification, and it would be avoiding those distractions where, I mean, even going to the toilet and like subconsciously you're like on your phone.
Oh yeah.
Like I do this as well. Like everyone does this.
Yeah.
But even that subconscious thing, that's immediately, it's like your brain being addicted to your phone, like bring it up straight away. And the thing is, all of this is pre-recorded. I'm like reading
Pre-recorded,
the thing.
right? Is this
Yeah,
pre-recorded? Let me.
it's not pre-recorded.
Not pre-recorded,
Yeah,
live.
all of this is subconscious. So yeah, training can actually get you out of those like habits. So again, this relates back to why I love neuroscience, because it teaches you how to like steer clear from that stuff. Yeah.
Wow, man, this is so. Would you recommend, like, let's say, okay, let's take like a regular person. I don't know the average consumption levels on social media platforms. Let's say there's someone who scrolls currently like 3-4 hours a day, right? Just
Yeah.
like Instagram. I mean, I don't know, YouTube, TikTok, all these Snapchat. There's some new ones popping up like every month, and
Mm.
so how do you get out of that cycle? Do you just like go like a cold turkey? You just drop
Mm.
it like immediately, or you kind of like do it gradually to not kind of like disturb and disrupt like dopamine levels?
Well, I would, what I did personally, because I did my own little thing with this as well, is I just removed the distraction. So like my TV, like I turned it to face the wall. And during the day, I used to always have this thing, like I would come home here and like, because I'm living by myself, no one's watching me. So I can just watch like YouTube the entire day and do nothing. But what I started doing was putting my laptop already ready on my desk and then sitting down and then just going straight into the work. So basically, because the danger is the time in between you doing tasks where you get trapped into like those like scrolling things. It's like, you might have work and then you come home from work and then you could like go to the gym or go do something else, but then instead you get stuck like on your phone. So I would say the best thing would be to replace the time that you are now spending scrolling with something else that's more useful. So it's not necessarily about going cold turkey. It's just like in that 1 or 2 or 3 hours that you'd be home scrolling, go and do something else. And then just literally you not doing the scrolling will have enough benefits in of itself to probably make you feel much better over a 3-4 week period.
And do you reward yourself? I mean, the typical pattern with habit
Mm.
formation is that you need to have some kind of like reward for
Yeah.
yourself. It's like, would
Yeah.
you also like, let's say, okay, if I just sit here and I work for like 2-3 hours straight, like, would you reward yourself with something kind of like to
Yeah.
intensify that habit?
I would say so, yeah. Especially, yeah, like you say, at the end of the task, when you've sort of acknowledged you've done a good job, and then you can reward yourself. I think so. It's actually funny. I was talking to my friend. So I have this like Apple Watch, the Ultra, and I've been getting so many orders like coming through on my watch that every like once an hour or once every 30 minutes, I'll get a notification. I'll just be like, yeah, let's go, let's go. So that's like a reward in of itself as well, because every time you get that ding and it's like sold product, you get that
Mm,
dopamine hit as well. So in a sense, I'm like conditioning myself to like basically get addicted to making money,
that's
which
awesome.
isn't not necessarily good, but I reckon it's good for me because you need that motivation to keep going, like need that drive. So
So
yeah,
also like inherently like dopamine is not good or bad, right? It's only kind of like
yeah,
what triggers you have and what behavior
yeah.
you intensify using
Well,
dopamine.
yeah. So dopamine just is. It's like a neurotransmitter in your brain, like it exists, and it's what pushes you to put in effort, like I said, to get a reward that's sort of a long-term reward, like long-term goals. Think things that are hard, like going to the gym. It's not necessarily fun to do necessarily like in the moment, but you'll feel really good after. So that's that dopamine hit that you get after. So actually, the more effort you put in, you actually also get a bigger dopamine hit the other way. So like if you're, this is actually really interesting, because remember how I said if it goes up, it always has to come down.
Uh-huh.
It's the same the other way around. So if you're sitting at baseline now and you start putting yourself through a lot of struggle, and you through a lot of like effort, like going through the hard gym session or running a marathon, right? You're pushing yourself down, but then you're also bumping yourself back up to go above baseline. So it's actually a way to make yourself feel better again after. But yeah, it's just interesting.
Man, it's almost like, I feel like kind of like the operational system that like humans have, right? Like in terms of just like understanding their brain. Like, I mean, you studied this in the university, but I feel like pretty much every human needs like a fucking operational tutorial
Oh
or
yeah,
guide on how their brain actually works,
yeah,
so they can like navigate and kind of like manipulate their own behavior. Because
yeah,
if they're not doing it consciously, all of these, like we talked about, all of
yeah.
these platforms, they'll fucking do it for you. Like, I mean, there's probably
Yes,
neuroscientists working in TikTok, Facebook, like
yeah.
they understand
How
that
can we make
behavior.
this more addicting?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree 100%. And yeah, I think um, that's probably one, and actually something I've been thinking about a lot is I also have been looking into maybe starting like an online course that's talking exactly about what we're talking about right now.
Man, I think
And
this is so impactful. Like this can help
yeah,
so many people.
yeah. I just feel like I need to build myself up so I can be a good example, because I feel if I'm going to talk about stuff like that, I need to have my own resume, a good resume. So that's what I'm working on now, and I really hope that, because I mean I love talking about this stuff, so I really hope that people, yeah, if that I can like create a product eventually also around this. But yeah, we'll see.
Man, yeah, because it impacts everyone. I mean, considering the numbers of like social media usage, like, and it's literally, so I'm having these interviews and also having interviews with our ESS, our elite clients, guys that are doing like, millions of dollars per month, 2 million, 3 million, 5, 7, $10 million a month, have successful businesses. And very, very often, like probably 90% of cases, these guys don't have a fucking Instagram. They're like,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
very deliberate with these social media platforms, either consciously or subconsciously. They have realized how negatively impactful that could be.
hmm,
I mean, on the other sides, right? Like in terms of the business perspective, like you can get a lot of like idea. Let's say you're scrolling on TikTok, you see the content, you see how products are being promoted, you see how the products are being sold. Kind of like it can give you like inspiration
hmm,
on kind of like how to create content and how to create ads and stuff like that.
yeah,
But it's so easy to get distracted. It's it's just like, yeah, the platforms are just very
yeah,
good at manipulating people into
100%. Yeah,
consuming.
yeah.
Man, so we have where are you selling, selling your products? Which market?
Just in Australia at the moment.
Is Australia a good market?
Yes, it's. I mean, it seems to be pretty good. Yeah, I think it's definitely a good market, especially if you find the right angles, which definitely exist. Yeah,
That's awesome. What is it for you guys? It's like summer now.
yeah, yeah. It's peak summer. It was like 38 degrees today, so very hot
Wow.
over here. In the Netherlands, my whole family's sitting in like 3 degrees.
Yeah, we have Michael in here. Is he's doing $1,000 to $2,000 a day in Europe, Netherlands. Have you
Yeah.
considered selling in Netherlands?
Oh yeah, 100%. To be honest, there's no reason at all why I haven't started. It's just yeah, just trying to get it going. It's definitely a good option as well. I'm actually moving back to the Netherlands in May. So yeah, it'll be moving back there, and that's another beauty of like having it all online. Like I can go anywhere and just work from my laptop, which is pretty incredible. So
Nice. What's your favorite? Like, do you like once a business gets momentum? Do you want to live in a specific country? You want to live in Netherlands, Dubai,
ah,
Asia?
it's so tough. Like I grew up in Egypt, so I even like that. I really enjoyed Egypt as well when I was younger. Um, but yeah, I think it's so tough because like the Netherlands is really nice. Like my whole family is there, but the weather is terrible, and I'm definitely someone who enjoys like some nice weather. Um, so I think Australia. I mean, to be honest, Australia is a really really nice country. Like I recommend anyone to come here. The only problem is it's so far away, and it requires a lot of traveling for you to get anywhere, especially Perth. So yeah.
Cool, my man. So, how do you structure? I mean, because I mean, you've been on the other side of this. You learn all of the kind of neuroscience. You
Mm,
understand how the brain works, how to create these powerful habits, and you also explain some of the habits you currently have. Like for example,
mm,
when you set up your laptop, you're just like getting straight into the work.
yeah.
What other habits have you discovered to be useful, that entrepreneurs can use to be like more productive and just get more stuff done?
Interesting. Yeah, well, I think, I mean, in like you just have to not procrastinate. I think
Check
you
this
like,
out.
no, don't go to the, yeah, they are grumpy. They are grumpy. People are very grumpy in the
And but
Netherlands.
but entrepreneurs, like
Yeah,
entrepreneurs from Netherlands, man, like these are probably some of the fucking sharpest motherfuckers I've ever seen. Like in
really?
terms of e-commerce, like drop shipping, e-commerce community, like some of the biggest guys
Mm,
come from Netherlands. Like
yeah.
very sharp, very smart.
I was watching one other guy. I can't remember his name. It's like Samuel Ohana or something.
Onuha probably.
Oh, Onua, yeah, him, yeah, yeah. He's Dutch as well. He's got a cool story actually. I was listening to his story. It's pretty incredible as well. He was down bad for a bit and he came back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, very very sharp entrepreneurs coming from
mm,
Netherlands.
yeah,
So yeah, sorry, I interrupted you with
yeah,
habits.
yeah. No, I think yeah. It's just about taking action. And for me, like um, the best thing that I did was making it a priority in the day where I'm doing it first thing. And like for me, I was lucky because at this point I was working in the bar. And then even when I had that marketing job as well, I was able to do it outside of that. But yeah, for me, like it was the same when I first started getting into the gym. Um, the most success I had was when I was doing it every single day at 10 o'clock in the morning, every single day, because then it becomes a scheduled thing where there's not really any leniency or is it going to happen or is it not going to happen. Like every single day at that time, you're doing a bit of work on it. And then, I mean, have you heard of Sam Ovens as well, the
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
co-owner as
yeah.
well? Yeah.
I've
So,
been in most. Yeah, I've been in all of the Sam's programs.
oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So Sam and Alex are probably the two guys that I spent most time like learning from a business. Like Sam's free content on YouTube as well, um, and he also talks about the most successful people to ever live are the ones who love and are obsessed with what they do. They love what they do, and then how do you love what you do? Is by number one is first making it a habit and building consistent action, and then
Hmm.
over time your brain starts to have like little reward systems built into the work. So the stuff that I'm doing now, I used to have to force myself to sit down and do, but now I actually enjoy doing it. Like I sit down and 3 hours will fly past, and it doesn't feel that like it doesn't feel like it has the friction like it used to. And I think that's just the power of like consistent action, and over time, like you will start to enjoy the work that you're doing more and more. I think that's what I think. Yeah,
Man, I think I mean I think personally, kind of like learning about this and learning how to manage your own brain, because we have this like very powerful tool, right? And everything in the world created with brains, like people creating companies building
yeah,
things, like everything created with brains. And so for
yeah,
us to understand how it actually works and how to like manipulate it to our own advantage, I think it's
yeah,
one of the best time investments like
yeah.
that we can have. So any
One hundred
books you
percent. Yeah.
any books you would recommend on
Oh
this,
yeah.
like on neuroscience
Yes.
or
Number one, Psycho Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz.
uh-huh
I'm sure sure you've read that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I mean, you've obviously got like on neuroscience specifically.
Yeah, it's basically how to create these, like, powerful habits, and how to control these dopamine hits, how to create habits that basically replace scrolling and stuff like that. Because I believe that I'm trying to create content and impact people and help people out, but it's
Yeah,
like people can have like all of the best kind of content in the world, like all the best strategies and tactics, but if they don't like sit down and fucking do it, like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
useless, right? So
yeah.
um
No, 100% agree. For habits, it would definitely be Atomic Habits. That's one of the best ones I've read. He also gives heaps of different tools of going about how you can change a bad habit for a good one, and how you can best reward yourself as well to bring in the best ones, bring in the new habits. Yeah, so definitely recommend those. And then I mean, you've obviously got like, I mean, I would obviously recommend Hormozi's books as well, like $100 million offers, and $100 million leads, and then Think and Grow Rich as well by Napoleon Hill. I'd put in there, just
awesome.
because that's a good one to think about as well. Like with how you think in general is very important. Yeah,
What do you think? So you mentioned that like it took you like 1.5 years to get your first like sale online.
yeah.
What do you think made a difference? Like, what was the paradigm shift or mindset shift that helped you to generate the first sale, and also to start getting traction with your business?
Yeah. It's a good question. I think like it's always going to take a bit of time to like set it up and sort of get it going. For me specifically, that first year I was very much focused on like acquiring the skills that were eventually going to make me useful to the market. Um, so yeah, I would just say like focus on acquiring the skills that are going to make you valuable to the marketplace. And for me, when I got that little SMMA job after I finished uni, that really like opened my eyes, because number one, I saw that most businesses, because we were working with decent number of like service-based businesses, and most of those owners had no clue what they were doing. So I saw, and I've learned at this point like a year of like Alex Hormozi's content about business, and I'm talking to these business owners who have a real business, and everything I'm saying that I've heard, they don't even know, and like they have no idea what I'm talking about basically. So then I was like, well, maybe you don't have to be a genius to like actually run a business. Um,
Mm.
and I feel like that sort of broke maybe a little limiting belief I had in my head of like, am I even capable of doing this, or like, would it even be possible? And yeah, I really saw that people who I would say I might be smarter than are doing all of these things that I have like all this built up in my head about how hard it is to like build a business.
Huh.
So yeah, I think like it's a little bit of a belief, and then once I started learning the ads, and I saw people make a lot of money from ads on Facebook, that's when I knew it was possible, and I think that really helped me get that first sale, because I basically knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of time.
Interesting. So yeah,
Yeah,
so building the skills, but also you
yeah,
mentioned building the belief systems, right? Like kind of
yeah,
like
yeah,
you've done it, I don't know, you've done it consciously or subconsciously, but like just exposing yourself to
yeah,
to these businesses and seeing behind the scenes. Like that's why
yeah,
I see, there's so much value. I always tell people, like, go to events, like go to masterminds, like go to see people that you admire, like that you think are super smart.
yeah,
Because when you
yeah,
talk to them, you realize they're regular people. They've just been doing this for a longer period of time. They're not like
yeah,
special, and you can do it as well. And that was like, for me, that probably was one of the biggest like mindset shifts, because
mm,
I had this limiting belief. I come from Ukraine. I barely spoke
yeah,
English. I mean, didn't speak English at all. And
mm,
so I'm like, oh, like, and I started looking for initially I started looking for projects like as a freelancer. It's like, who would hire me? Like, who would fucking hire me? Like, I don't even speak English. I have no skills. Like, and so I had this limiting belief. And then I started applying for jobs. And I realized that most people, like probably the same as you, even like when they were applying for jobs, they were doing it so half-ass. Like they were just like copy
Mm.
pasting templates, like even right now we're hiring people, like people like just fucking so lazy. And
Yeah.
so you don't even realize
Yeah.
that in order to win, you
Mm.
don't have to be this like extraordinary fucking talent with like 300
Yeah.
IQ. Like you
Yeah.
just have to do things a little bit better and put in more effort, and then commit to
Yeah.
learning like
Yeah.
those skills. So then like within like 3 months, 6 months,
Yeah.
12 months, you're a fucking savage. And
Yeah.
if people have
Agreed.
this mindset, I think that
Mm.
they'll achieve a lot greater results.
Yeah, and I think as well, like just to add on is like I feel like it's the long term thinking that makes the long term. I mean, even if you look at Jeff Bezos, like the letters to shareholders,
Yeah.
he's always talking about the long term. He's always what is the action that we take now? How can we make sure that it's beneficial even 10, 20 years down the line? Even if it might hurt in the short term. So I think that's a very interesting lesson to learn, because then ultimately it just becomes about, yeah, sort of having a vision and sort of seeing what you want to do for the future. And then, but then also like taking the step and just like doing it, trying it out. You don't have to have the whole thing planned out, but you have to have some idea of where you want to go. And then, yeah, I would say just be ready for the opportunities. Like BBA for me was also something I just randomly came across. Like a week before I joined BBA, I was still working that job, and then suddenly, business started dropping a little bit. He's like, "Oh, I can't afford you anymore." And then I was like, "Well, now is perfect time to just take the money I have and invest in this, and then just go all in on this." So yeah, I think yeah, it's the yeah.
Was it a hard decision for you? Like at that point, were you like
Mm,
skeptical or kind of like, or like, what if it doesn't work out? What if like
yeah.
I lose money, like stuff like that?
Mm. I mean, like you always sort of have that, but then it goes back to just like having belief in yourself that you can do it. Because we actually had a client at the service space. So we were helping service-based businesses, and we had one e-commerce business that we were running ads for, and we got them a 50 ROAS after 3 weeks. So we got paid, being a marketing agency, like $1,500 for that month, and they got paid out of $500 ad spend, like $50,000. So I saw that, and then this was at the same time that I knew I was going to stop there. So then I was like, well, now I've got this, this skill of running ads. Now it's just the perfect opportunity. Like for me, honestly, it was just perfect opportunity, and like, yeah, it was also at a good time because I was like very much ready to go and get stuck in. Um, and I feel like it definitely helped me having practiced. Um, yeah, forcing myself to learn about business outside of uni and outside of work, because those 2 3 hours per day that normally you'd waste, you're now practicing to work on something else. So like now that I've actually got something I can work on, it feels much easier to do the work compared to like back in the day.
Wow, this is,
Yeah.
yeah. So basically, you have and I think this is such a great framework because I mean, people have responsibilities. People have other things to do. Some people go to college. Some people, have like 9 to 5 jobs. But everyone can find like 1 2 hours a day. Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is. It is. I
Exactly.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like
Exactly.
you already have that time, and you just probably already like people just spending that time like elsewhere. And if
Yeah.
they're just like deliberately spending that time to acquire these skills to get a better understanding of the business,
Yeah.
getting whatever business they want to get into,
Yeah.
then over time like you have better understanding, at least like in theory. Then you apply it in practice, you get some feedback from the market whether it's good or not, and
Mm.
you keep iterating. But it's such a smooth way to get into the business, with already some great foundation in place.
Yeah. No. Yeah. 100%. Couldn't agree more. And I think then, yeah, testing the market. I've actually found it's a lot of fun. Actually, I really enjoy the sort of the system behind the business. Like having all the data and like being able to read all of it. And I actually really enjoyed just running a test, seeing what's going on, what's working, what could possibly be causing this to work, what not. Test again, see again what happens. Test again. So it's quite enjoyable, I think, for me. Yeah.
What do you think is like you mentioned that you had like for example before you joined BBA, you mentioned that you had like self-belief that like eventually
Yeah.
you will crack it, you know, one way or another you'll succeed one way or another. um like what did you do personally to build that self-belief? Like did you have it like your whole life?
Mm.
Like were you born with it or did you build it over time?
I think, I mean, to be honest, and it like is probably like, I don't know, it might be like an arrogant thing to say, but I feel like I always sort of knew, or I mean, by no means have I succeeded, by the way. I'm literally like, I'm nowhere yet. But the reason I feel confident in myself is because I feel like I always have had confidence in myself like that. And I also feel like I can pick things up quickly, and I'm smart enough to figure it out and like sort of pick it up. Um, and then for me, actually, I mean, you know, those kids in school who like never have to study and they always do well. So I feel like that used to be me when I was younger, but then when I got to like year 10, year 11, that started like, it was not working. So I started like getting, because I wasn't studying, right? So I think for me, if anything, the the putting in the work, that's been the act of putting in the work, that's been the thing that I've had to practice the most. And yeah, like I said, yeah, and I think that's one of the things I've learned from the most as well. It's just like learning how to force yourself to do those things. And then eventually, Hormozy talks about this as well, building up a stack of proof that, you know, even no matter what your belief is, you've got a stack of proof that you can do it already. So I think just building on that stack, trying to stack days,
I like
stacking days.
stacking days.
Yeah.
I like to share with people these examples. People like, oh, you know, I'm new to e-commerce. I'm new to business. I have no skills, and I'm like, okay, like, do you know how to walk? It's like, yeah, yeah, you know,
Yeah.
I know how to walk. All right, so like when you were born, like, did you know how to walk? It's like, no. Okay, so all right,
Yeah.
so would you say like learning, like knowing how to walk is a skill? Yeah, it is a skill. Okay, so I mean, if you learn that skill, you know, you probably can learn this skill as well. And then, like you said, I mean, you've been to school. I mean, you learn basic math. You can add like 2 plus 2. Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's that's your proof that you can do it. And then
Yeah.
business is not that like business is not that rocket science. And like I know some people that are like truly are not that like intelligent, like from the IQ perspective, but they can just like connect the dots and adapt. And those are probably like and also put in the
Mm.
work like consistently. They're just hard workers. And
Yeah.
like just by doing that they're overcompensating for their lack of intelligence. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
some of us, like it's like some people are born taller, some people are born shorter, some people, you know, have certain attributes and people don't. So having that like self-awareness, like, okay, so I'm good at this, bad at this, terrible at
Mm.
this, right? And then like putting in the work to overcompensate the things that are truly important. um
Yeah.
and then becoming good at those. But it starts with I think it starts from the mindset, man. Like just
Mm.
just listening to your
Yeah.
conversation, also all the like neuroscience, like everything starts here, like the belief, the
Yeah.
idea. It's like the idea starts here, like one day I'll be millionaire, right? Like just
Yeah.
starts here,
Yeah.
nothing, no fucking
Yeah.
proof for that, right? But like
Yeah.
every day, like you start putting in some small effort every day you're learning, you're developing, you're acquiring new skills. And then
Yeah.
a few years, a few years in the future, I mean, that actually happens. um
Yeah. Yeah. And you'll be so glad, like looking back. Imagine if you started doing, you know, that thing that you want to improve at for 2 hours a day for the rest of the year. Then by this time next year, you'll look back and you'll be so glad that you did that because of all the stuff that you learned. Like you probably don't even know yet, but I always have this as well from the gym. Like I look back and I'm like, I'm so glad I started because you know the difference. Like, is it? Can I ask you a question, Alex?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, for me, like I said, like the next step will be sort of moving out, or sorry, moving to a different place, getting out of my comfort zone again. And my goal is to surround myself with, you know, people who are, um, sort of in business, a bit ahead of me, ideally. My friends over here in Perth, they have nothing to do with business, so it's actually really nice to talk to someone who like enjoys this sort of stuff. But because didn't you? Would you remind me where you first moved to America? When was that?
I mean, I moved to America. I mean, this time I moved to 2020. The first time I moved to America in 2008 or 2009, but it was I just worked on the factory there. And yeah, I did nothing. I mean, I didn't even like learn English because I was working with like immigrants. And so that was my
Like,
first. That was my first time, and now this time I moved in 2020. Before that, so I lived in Ukraine, and then I lived in Poland. I lived in Malta. I lived in like different countries in Europe. But like, I think for me, as for you, it was the biggest thing was, like just disattaching, from parents, from other people. Like that was a big massive move, just like mentally. Like there is no one. Like, I mean, you have to take care of yourself. And my wife, I was married already, and then the other thing, I mean, overall, like as the best environment, I believe right now for business owners, like e-commerce entrepreneurs specifically, I think it's either Dubai, Bangkok, or Miami. Like I think these are probably like three best spots. Dubai is great. Dubai is like so many great people there.
And you're in Miami now, aren't you?
Yeah.
So because I'm really trying to think of like what would be a good way to surround myself with people who are doing similar things. So I'm wondering, like, when you first went to Miami, were there specific things, like, I don't know, whether you went to events or did you go, like, what did you do to sort of surround yourself with like those people who you wanted to sort of surround yourself with?
Just DMing them, like.
Oh yeah, you just straight DM. Yeah.
Yeah, I met my good friend here. That I met a friend here. So we first came to Miami 2019, and I just messaged like several people and posted on my Facebook that I want to meet with some people that are like entrepreneurs, and then I met a guy who then eventually like helped me out like a lot, like introduced me to a lot of people here. He even like rented me, like when the COVID hit, we just moved, like he rented me the office, that where we initially like started, and then just helped me a lot with advice. I think just reaching out to people, like not being shy, like you know what I mean. It's like, fuck, okay, so person doesn't respond, so fucking what, like. And I think that is the most important. But for you specifically in Netherlands, I'll introduce you to some good people in Netherlands.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I'm really looking for a group or like people I can talk to. I feel like I'm missing that a little bit here in Perth. Not that they're not here. I've just maybe I should actively go out and search here more. But yeah, definitely keen for when I go to the Netherlands. That'd be awesome.
100%. Yeah, we have a lot of clients from Netherlands, like some very good, like successful e-commerce entrepreneurs. So yeah, I'll introduce you.
Perfect. Well, awesome. Yeah. Okay.
My man, thank you so much for joining me. This was like amazing conversation. I
really enjoyed it.
I probably love the most the neuroscience. I'm so fascinated about that part, because like if you know how to manage yourself, then you also know how to manage other people, and you also know kind of like the blind spots. It's usually like
100%.
You might know all of the right things to do, and people usually know what they're. I mean, you ask every overweight person, do they know what they have to do to fucking lose weight? You know that. I mean, they have to go to the gym, right? They have to eat good food, drink enough water, have sleep, and just like let their body do the work. And then like, but still, most people don't do it. So it's like
it's up here.
Yeah,
it's up here. Yeah.
It's like how do you basically force yourself to do the things that you know that you need to do, but you're not doing currently. And if people if people would do that, then the transformations their life would be magnificent. So thank you so much for sharing that perspective, and I'm looking forward, man. Like, let's get this e-commerce business, let's scale it up.
I'm keen.
You exit it, and then you just like go in on your passion.
Yeah.
You can help so many people.
Yeah, no, I mean, I always thoroughly enjoy talking about this stuff. So yeah, if there's ever anything I can do, let me know. Yeah, really appreciate the time, and thanks for having me on here.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll yeah, connect soon, and hopefully next time I'll see you, I'll be on the 2K days.
My man, no, it doesn't work like that. So next time we have you do 100K days. Oh, so 100, no, maybe not 100K a day, but
100K a month.
100K a month. Let's do
100K a
that.
month. Yeah.
100K a month.
Okay.
That's the next stuff, my man. Yeah.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it.
Let's do it, my man. And I'll introduce you to some good people.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I'll probably hit you up as well closer to the date anyway. But
Cool, man. Yeah, thank you, Mason. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for watching. That was live, by the way. You know, if anyone has questions. Oh, man. Thank you so much.
Easy.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Bye, guys.
All right, Alex. Thank you.